Hi guys, it's me, Caitlin, your favorite Michigan girl, here to do the WandaVision recap for episode 5, a very special episode. This episode left me jaw dropped to the point that I actually posted a video on Instagram saying, "Oh my gosh, what the heck just happened?" Like, I cannot believe it. But pretty much every WandaVision episode has kind of been like, what the heck just happened? This last episode, that was a huge what the heck just happened moment. So, to be fair, spoiler warning, a spoiler alert is in effect. There will be spoilers, as there are with all of my recap videos. In my last video, my trailer reaction for Falcon and Winter Soldier, I talked about how I don't know if I'm going to continue the WandaVision recaps. My plan is I will finish out WandaVision. I will continue to do the recaps for WandaVision until the final episode. I just do not know if I will do recaps for shows in the future. Most likely Mandalorian, but probably not any other show. And maybe Ahsoka when it starts. Anyway, before we get to, I start talking about the episode, I wanted to show you guys 2 more pieces of merch I got for WandaVision. I've showed you guys the Funko Vision Pop Swirl for my birthday, thanks to the 20% off coupon that I got from Disney. I was able to go to shopdisney.com, and I got 2 shirts for WandaVision, and this is the first one I got. This is the long sleeve sword shirt, and it has the sword logo in the center with what it stands for, so Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division. So this is the long sleeve sword shirt, and I think this is kind of similar to, I don't know if this is, I want to say it's kind of similar to what Monica wears in a couple of scenes, but I don't think it is. But this is it. This is, I believe, an extra large. I can't remember the size off the top of my head. It is a unisex, so it is in men's sizing. So this is, I think, an extra large or large in men. So I don't remember. And then, as if I don't need more proof how much weight I've lost, I got this in a women's 2X, and I put it on, tried it on, and I realized I could have probably done an extra large in women's. Now I know. But this is the other shirt I got, and this is the only t-shirt I like that they had. This is the retro WandaVision t-shirt with Wanda and Vision from the 1960s episode. Oh my gosh, don't change the channel. So this is the retro WandaVision shirt. They did have some others, but here's the thing, and as you can see, it's a 2X and it's a little big for me. They did have other WandaVision shirts, but here's the thing I'm running into with a lot of the merch that they have for WandaVision, is it's not merchandise that I think really fits with WandaVision. Like, they have these cool retro t-shirts, and there's a lot like of the logo shirts and sword shirts and stuff like that. But they also have some really odd choices for the merchandise, I feel like. And it's not just odd choices, I also feel like that there's not a lot of options in terms of the merchandise they have put out for WandaVision. I was watching the Tim and Jen Tracker, their videos, and I think it was, I don't know, I think it was Jen, or maybe it was somewhere else I read it. They said that they haven't seen a lot of merchandise for WandaVision. No, they don't like the options of merchandise for WandaVision. And the problem with that is unlike The Mandalorian, where it was seemed like every week there was more and more, they were releasing more and more options for WandaVision, and you had such a lot of choices. It seems like they're very limited in what they're releasing, and it seems like they're not really releasing new merchandise with every episode, which I thought was awesome with The Mandalorian, like just dumping a ton of new merchandise the weekend of each episode, making it different. I thought that was awesome. Her Universe did it, and there was like the Eris aired. Well, here's a bunch of t-shirts with Bo-Katan. Jedi aired. Here's a bunch of stuff with Ahsoka. You know, that stuff was really cool, and it seems like with WandaVision, they just didn't really do it. So I'm wondering if they're waiting to see, and post the show, we'll get a lot more merch. I don't know. I just wish there was more merch, and I wish there was a lot more merch that I would be interested in buying. Like, this is I was always going to get a shirt for WandaVision. There was never a doubt in my mind. It just, I felt like it took me a lot longer than it should have for me to find a shirt that I liked that wasn't just the logo of the show. So, this was, these 2 shirts are the first ones I thought I actually want these shirts. So this one and the retro shirt, which I'm really excited I got. So yay, so that is my WandaVision merch, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get any more. I probably won't. There's some pins I saw that I think would be really cool, but I don't think I'm going to get them. So anyway, on to this week's episode. on a very special episode. Ha ha ha. It was like I said, it was an insane episode. But we are officially in the 80s, and it was kind of confusing because I saw some reactors and like, it's the 90s, and I'm like, no, it's actually the 80s. And I think what threw them off is in the credits, they actually show a scene where the twins, where they're having a picnic, and that was kind of a tribute to Full House, which is the Olsen twins, who are Elizabeth Olsen's older sisters, and everybody's like, oh, it's the 90s. And I'm like, actually, I think Full House started in the 80s. So I think that's what confused some people, but it was the 80s. I'm going to say about late 80s was the decade. Before that, in the recap, there's kind of a jaw-dropping moment for me, is there were two differences. Now, in last week's episode, we interrupt this program, and now in color, when Wanda was talking to Vision after she kicked Monica out and he asked her where Geraldine went, she said Geraldine went home. However, in the recap for episode 5, she actually says Geraldine didn't belong. That kind of threw me for a loop a little bit because she did not. One reactor said, "Did she say that?" Yes, she said. I'm like, no, she actually didn't say that. She actually said Geraldine went home, and she went home. And this one, she said Geraldine didn't belong. So that was interesting to note in the recap that Wanda says something different than what she said in the actual episode. We see Wanda and Vision struggling with Billy and Tommy. They're infants. They're trying to get them to go to sleep. They won't go to sleep. Wanda sends Vision to go get the Binkies, and then Wanda tries to use her powers on the twins to get them to sleep. However, her powers apparently do not work on Billy and Tommy, which to me makes sense. They are her children, so they might be some of the few things she cannot control because they are of her. So I'm thinking that's why, because they are from her, so she can't use her powers to control them. So that will be interesting to see going forward, especially if they continue with Billy and Tommy in the MCU. Just how much is being there, because Billy and Tommy in the comics are kind of powerful, and so it's just as interesting that her powers do not work. At that moment. And what's weird is she sends Vision away before she tries to use the powers on the twins. Like, she doesn't want him to see what she's going to do. Then Agnes arrives in this episode. It's really interesting later on when I talk about with Agnes. She arrives to take care of the kids. And interestingly enough, Vision starts saying, okay, do this. And he's like, no, don't. You're good. We don't need to take care of the kids. Which results in Agnes getting really confused and doing the first what the heck moment for this episode, where Agnes is like, should I start over? You want me to hold the baby? Should I go from the top? And it's just this very kind of awkward moment. And this is a moment where I think, this was the first moment when I went, Agnes knows a lot about what's happening. We kind of see that in Don't Change the Channel, where she's talking to Vision about Geraldine, she and Herb. But it's kind of clear in this episode, and I'll go over that a little bit more. But Wanda and Agnes eventually just laugh it off, and Agnes is like, yeah, I'll take care of the kids, and Vision pulls Wanda aside and asks, like, okay, what's going on? What's wrong with Agnes? And Wanda just brushes him off, like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with Agnes. And really, Vision is starting to, like, see the cracks in this perfect life. While Agnes goes off to get some more liquor, the twins stop crying. Vision and Wanda are happy, like, yay, they stopped crying. They're great. They're awesome. And then they turn around. They go to check on the twins. Twins are gone. Turn around when they hear, Mommy? Turns out the twins aged themselves up to 5. So apparently the twins can just age themselves up. And this is another interesting moment with Agnes. I'm asking, does Agnes have kids? I'm asking that because she makes a comment about kids growing up so fast. And when she makes that comment, she actually seems sad. So I'm wondering, does Agnes have kids and what happened to the kids? And then the credits roll, and that's when we see the Full House tribute. It was really cute, and it's really interesting because I think they used some actual photos for Elizabeth Olsen and the little boys who played Tommy and Billy, because they actually look like actual photographs of them and not just like, oh, here's some stuff we made up. Vision was very obviously his photos were made up. It was just bad. And now we're back in the world with Sword and Monica, who is getting checked out. And she says one of the first things she remembers is pain, hearing Wanda's voice, and the one that stood out to me was deep grief, like drowning, deep grief, very overwhelming grief. So it's obvious that Wanda is very much in pain. I've said this before. It's kind of what happened in the comics. She's just in pain. And obviously, I saw it on Facebook. Somebody made the comment that between Wanda and Thor have probably had the most traumatic experiences of the Avengers because they have basically lost everything. So it's very interesting. But then Thor is like, I think Thor just drank himself and then was like, okay, I'm going on an adventure. And Wanda is just still, I don't think Wanda really has a coping mechanism for her grief. With her parents, she and Pietro joined Hydra, but in this instance, that's not an option. So it's like she's trying to find a way to cope with her grief. The interesting thing is Darcy and Agent Woo walk in, and they're talking with Monica, saying, hey, there's a meeting. But the doctor who's there says, nope, Monica can't go because they did brain scans, and the brain scans are blank. She wants to run more. She wants to draw blood. And Monica's like, H-E double hockey sticks, no. Get me out of here. Take me to the briefing. So we get to the briefing. I'm sorry, I have so many notes. And Director Hayward is I'll just call him a jerk because I don't want to use a stronger word than that. But Director Hayward is being a jerk as he's talking about Wanda. Basically, he and Agent Woo are talking about Wanda's past. You know, her parents were killed in Sokovia by a Stark missile that had been acquired by militants. This led to her and her brother joining Hydra and being experimented on and radicalized, and eventually led to them. But they switched over to the Avengers, and Pietro died, saving Hawkeye and a little boy. And Wanda is like one of the strongest Avengers. And then the Sokovia, Germany, and Laos happened. And Agent Woo seems to be very understanding about Wanda, where she comes from, who she is. Like, Agent Woo, Darcy, and Monica all seem to understand what Wanda's going through to a certain extent, and they're not blaming her for what's happening. Monica even says she does not think that Wanda is doing that, if even planned to do this, and she obviously has no malicious intent. She doesn't have a political agenda. She doesn't have a violent agenda. She locked herself in this quarantine zone. It could have been thousands more than the 3,000 people that are trapped there with her. And yes, it's horrible, but Wanda isn't doing this to hurt people. She's doing this to try to cope with what's happening to her. And Hayward points that out. He mentions her grief, but he also calls her a terrorist, which to me just means Hayward just doesn't seem to like Wanda. He refers to her as a terrorist. He asks, why doesn't she have a silly little nickname? Because she fought against the Avengers. Why doesn't she have one? She's a terrorist. She's this horrible person. And then as if he thinks that will score him points, he shows everybody who's there, which includes Monica, Darcy, and Rue, footage from the Sword headquarters, where it turns out Sword actually had Vision's corpse. So I was right. Vision, what corpse didn't vanish. It was found and collected, and Sword has been keeping it. Agent Woo points out that's part of Vision's living will is Vision didn't want to be resurrected, and he didn't want to become a weapon. So they were honoring his wishes by dismembering and studying his body. Obviously for Wanda that would be a trigger because to her Vision was not a machine. Vision was a person. That's why I never refer to him as the Vision like some of the characters are. I just refer to him as Vision because to me he's not a machine. He's a person. He's not like flesh and blood, but he's still a person. He still has his own thoughts and feelings. So he shouldn't be referred to as the Vision. So to me, I feel like Hayward, there he calls Vision he and stuff like that, really just sees Vision as a machine, as something that can be studied and learned from, and he doesn't really understand Wanda's grief, even though he said in her grief, Wanda stole the corpse, and that was 9 days before the anomaly occurred. So that really kind of makes me think that Hayward is not being very understanding the way Monica, Darcy, and Woo are. So we go back to the 1980s, and Wanda catches Billy and Tommy standing in front of the sink with a puppy they found. And this was so cute because they're like, he was crying and he's hungry and all alone. Can we keep him? Monica, I keep calling her. Wanda is about ready to break when Vision comes in human form, and when Wanda asks him why, Vision is like, well, because somebody might be dropping in. Just as Agnes walks in with the doghouse for the new puppy. Wanda, Agnes, and the boys are excited. They name the Dark Sparky, and Wanda even creates a dog collar for him, which sets Vision off because Agnes is right there, and Vision is like, wait, weren't we supposed to be hiding who we are and what we can do? And Wanda's like, I'm tired of hiding, and I don't think you should too. Which kind of flusters Vision because he's like, usually we agree on this stuff. So it's clear that Vision is starting to question more and more and more what's happening. When the boys ask for the dog again, Vision and Wanda say no, they have to wait till they're 10, and they age themselves up to 10 years old, with Agnes right there, and Agnes just makes the comment going, wow, I hope the dog doesn't grow that fast. So it's very interesting that up till this point, Wanda's been, like, trying to hide, like, even in, Don't Change That Channel, in the 60s episode, Wanda was like, this is our home, I want us to blend in, and now she's like, I don't want to hide who we are anymore. I don't think we should. Now we go back. We're jumping back and forth. We go back to our world. Darcy finally gets a coffee. She and Monica are trying to figure out ways to get into Restview, and this is where Darcy calls the quarantine the Hex. Agent Wu joins them, and they're talking about it. Agent Wu is like, there's no way Wanda can be doing all this, and Monica's like, yes, the twins are actually Wanda's. She is doing all this because she is one of the most, if not the most powerful Avengers. She nearly beat Thanos. What's surprising was Agent Wu mentions Captain Marvel, and Monica's face just, like, changes for a brief moment. She's like, it just changes to, like, this sad face. And when Darcy comments about Captain Marvel's powers coming from an Infinity Stone, Monica brushes her off and goes, no, we're not talking about Captain Marvel. So I think there's something there about Captain Marvel that I'm hoping we will learn more, maybe in Captain Marvel 2, about why Monica seems so on edge when Captain Marvel is mentioned. But Darcy makes a comment about wardrobe and sun and stuff, which starts Monica thinking, so that she goes into her clothes from when she was in the Hex, takes a gun, fires him at the pants, and reveals that Wanda is creating reality using what's already there. Monica was wearing a bulletproof vest when she was in the Hex. That bulletproof vest became her pants. So Wanda is not making things, she's using what's there to create a new reality. Which means all they have to do is get something from the 80s and send it in, and she can't change it because it already belongs there. So now we jump back to the Westview, when here comes the kind of creepiest moment. Vision's at his job, and they got computers, and he and Norm open up an email, and the email is about the Maximoff anomaly from Sword and Darcy. Everybody in the office except for Vision reads this email out loud and then burst out laughing. It is incredibly creepy. And Norm is like, hey, Vision, you send a reply back. You can do it. You're the funny guy. This leads to Vision doing something I didn't know Vision could do. He takes his hands and puts them on either side of Norm's head. There's a brief glow for a moment, and then all of a sudden, Wanda's influence over Norm is gone, and he's freaking out, trying to find his phone, because he says, I need to call my sister. She's looking after her dad. He's sick. Oh my gosh, make her stop. Make her stop. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. And he's freaking out to the point that Vision touches his head again and puts him back under Wanda's control. And Norm just switches from, like, freaking out to asking him, so if I send an email, do I need to put a stamp? Like, nothing happened. Like I said, I didn't even know Vision could do that. I don't ever think I remember him seeing it do it in the MCU. Maybe it's something he does in the comics. So that was really interesting to see this gift Vision has, that he basically was able to remove Wanda's control from somebody. Meanwhile, Wanda and the twins are back with the puppy named Sparky, teaching them tricks, and the twins are concerned that Vision is gone and he doesn't care about them. And Wanda sits them down and points out that they will always be a family. It's just sometimes going through a rough patch. And then for the second time in this series, they talk about her brother, Pietro. Like with Monica, it's a very brief mention. His name isn't said at all. Basically, she's like, I have a brother, but he's very, very far away, and that makes me sad. Then Sparky starts acting up. They're like, what's going on? Wanda goes outside, and there's a 1980 drone. Like, I didn't even know there were drones in the 1980s. Basically, Monica is trying to talk to Wanda and get her to open up and understand what's going on. But, of course, Wanda is threatened. So she starts, like, using her abilities to short out the drone, which is when we learn that the drone that Monica was told was not armed, was armed, and Hayward's plan is to kill Wanda. Like, blow her up. I was literally yelling at my TV, no, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Why would you, what, no, like that is beyond. This is why even more so I think Hayward is a jerk. They lose footage, and then the next thing you know, here comes Wanda in her Avengers outfit, coming through the barrier, dragging the drone, which she throws at their feet. Quick note, her accent's back, which is cool. Monica tries to talk to Wanda, and Wanda tells her she has what she wants. She doesn't want anything else. She just wants to be left alone. And when Hayward's like, no, I can't do that, she's like, no one will ever take it from me again. So she leaves, and as she leaves, she mind controls the agents to point their guns at Hayward. She gives Hayward this look before she leaves, and it makes me think that, wow, he did something to her that really ticked her off. Like, what did Hayward do? And I'm also thinking he doesn't like her either. She also looks back at Monica as she walks away. Now, when she gets to the barrier, she drops her control, which means she didn't actually want to shoot Hayward, just threaten him. So she didn't shoot him. She didn't hurt him. But as she goes, before she goes in the barrier, it looks like she kind of looks back at Monica and, like, understands that Monica is trying to help her in a way, but doesn't know what to do. And she returns to Westview. And at this point, we see a commercial, this time for Largo's paper towels, which I'm like, I feel so bad about laughing at. But then we're back in Westview with the boys looking for Sparky, and when Wanda's with them, they come to the mailman who says, don't worry, your mom, you'll find him, your mom will make sure of that. And it's like, wait, what? It really feels like that some of her control is cracking. They do find Sparky. Sadly, they find him by Agnes. Agnes has him wrapped up. She found him under her azalea bush. He ate a ton of leaves, and sadly, Sparky has passed away. This really upsets the boys, who decide the best way to deal with their grief is to try to age up, but Wanda stops them and says they can't. She's not going to let them age up. They have to face this. One of the boys, and I think it's Billy? I don't remember. I cannot, I know who they are when I see them, and then it's like I can't remember. One of the twins tells her that she can fix anything, even fix dead. Like, bring things back to life. Wanda is shocked when he mentions this, like, what? And Agnes is like, you can do that? But Wanda is surprising. She's visibly shocked that one of her sons mentions that. Which makes me think that they should not know, that she thinks they should not know that. So how did he know that she might be able to do that? Wanda still refuses to do that, saying that you can't fix death no matter how much you want to. You can't bring them back. And Vision comes and embraces the boys, and they go home. And later that night, the boys are in bed, and Vision and Wanda are in the kitchen, and Vision makes a comment about how it's not every day you gain a dog and lose him in the same day. And Wanda's snappy comeback is, oh, life moves fast when you're in the suburbs. It's like she's trying to keep it under wraps. This is when Vision confronts her about the people. He points out that he was able to talk to Norm without the influence and everything else. And Wanda just keeps brushing him off like, what are you talking about? That's not happening. That's not a thing. And it's kind of this big deal. And Vision says, well, you can't control me like you can control everybody else. And Wanda goes, can't I? And she goes off and the credits are rolling, but the episode doesn't stop. This episode was actually over 40 minutes, which was awesome. Vision is clearly getting frustrated and angry as he questions Wanda. He asks about the Maximoff anomaly, and she's like refusing to say anything. So he just loses his temper. And I swear, this is the first time I have ever seen Vision mad, so it was kind of jarring. Like, he gets mad, he levitates, and he's yelling at her like, Norm has a family, you can't keep doing this, Wanda. And she's like, what's going on? You never talked to me like this. And what? And he's like, I can't remember. And Vision's just like, I can't remember. That's the point. Like, he can't remember anything about his life before Rescue. He doesn't know what's outside, and he's scared. He's scared and he's angry. And Wanda is not helping by her continued denial. She calms him down for a little bit by reminding him he's her husband, he's the father of their twins, and that she's been doing everything for them. But then after he calms down, he points out, wait, what's going on? Where are all the children? So this makes me go back to the question with Agnes about, does Agnes have children? Because there have been no children seen other than Billy and Tommy. And he points out that he passes by a park every day, passes by a playground, and he never sees kids. The only kids he ever sees are their two. So he's like, where are the children? What's going on? And Wanda finally just loses it. She sits down and yells out that she Does he really think that she's the one controlling everybody? So that she's getting everybody to dentist appointments, making sure they mow their lawn, eat, drink, whatever. She's like very frustrated and she's upset at this point. And then finally she breaks down and says something that's very telling. She says she doesn't know how this started or how they got there. Now, some reactors have pointed out that Wanda is doing all this unknowingly. However, I still do not believe Wanda is doing this 100% totally in control because of this comment and because there have been so many times where she seems just as clueless as everybody else. That first episode where they're trying to figure out how to tell their story, she does not really know what to say. She does not know. And then this point, she doesn't know how she got to rescue, how they got to rescue. She doesn't know how this all started. So she's in control somewhat, but she's not totally in control, and I think that stands out to me the most. A lot of people are like, oh, she's just trying to brush her aside and get Vision to believe her. No, I really honestly think she doesn't know how it all started. Because the Wanda we see in Endgame is not the Wanda we're kind of seeing now. It's more like the Wanda from Age of Ultron than that Wanda. So I really 100% think that Wanda is not completely in control. And I really hope that I'm right, because if I'm wrong, I'm going to feel really, really bad. Vision talks to Wanda and he seems close to forgiving her when somebody knocks on their door and he looks at her and Wanda's like, I didn't do that. And Vision's like, he wants to believe her, but he can't. Wanda gets up to answer the door and we just see her face go, like shocked in disbelief. And we cut back to the real world and Darcy runs up to a computer, stops and sees the scene and she's just as much in shock and disbelief, which leads me to believe that this is more proof that Wanda is not in control of what's happening. We're like, what's going on? And Vision's like, who is this? And then finally the camera like glides and we get a shot and it is Pietro! And not just any Pietro, it is Quicksilver it is Evan Peters who played Pietro, aka Quicksilver, in the X-Men movies. Yes, you guys, Quicksilver in the MCU has been played by 2 different characters. Prior to the Disney takeover, Evan Peters played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, and Quicksilver in the MCU was played by Aaron Taylor James. Johnson? James. I don't know. I have names and I can't read my handwriting. So we have an actor who has played Pietro, but not in this instance. In fact, Darcy even makes a comment. She recast Pietro. And it's clear that this is not something Wanda is expecting. She is shocked. She's in disbelief. Until finally he's like, hey, can I get a hug? And she hugs him. I just like the fact that he calls Vision a popsicle at the end. But Pietro's arrival was an oh my god, and not just oh my god, it's Pietro. Oh my god, it's the Evan Peters version of Pietro Quicksilver. Also, to me, that proves even further that Wanda is not in 100% complete control. And I think this arrival of this Pietro is probably a way for whoever is in control of the scenario to really get her back under their control, because he's giving her something she wanted, and that is her brother. So it's going to be interesting to see the next episode. I'm really, really excited. We don't have that many episodes left. The last episode will air March 9th, I believe, so we're almost done. We've only got 4 more episodes. I don't want it to be over yet. So yes, that was the jaw-dropping episode, a special episode. So, as always, tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think this means for the MCU as a whole? And are we finally going to start seeing multiverse stuff? And if you like my videos, don't forget to give me a big old thumbs up and click subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sending you all lots of love, hugs, and prayers. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.